Mr. Zetsche, thank you so much for speaking to Bloomberg. Economic uncertainty seems to be increasing. How worried are you about that, and what does it mean for your forecast in the future?
Well, of course, we are watching these developments in different parts of the world, which generate more risk, more volatility. At the same time, our own signs are very positive. Order intake is great, basically around the world in all divisions, and therefore we stay very confident that we will continue this year very strong and finish it in a strong form.
Now, Audi passed Mercedes this year, but also BMW actually raised their sales forecast. Are you concerned that Daimler is falling behind a touch, and what are you doing to address this concern?
Well, first of all, last year we were the fastest growing of the three, and the first 4 months last year Audi was selling more than we as well. At the end we were stronger. This year we will see, we just raised our forecast for Mercedes cars from 1.3 to 1.35 million, so we clearly see this strong demand. We are somewhat constrained by our production capabilities and capacities, but we clearly will take that challenge on and come back strong and stay strong.
So how much more capacity are you actually expecting to increase? And this, I believe, is also in some of the emerging markets in China. Is this for domestic sale of vehicles, or is it for export?
Well, short term, we're talking about bottlenecks. Mid-term, and that starts next year, we're talking about additional plants or parts of plants. So in Hungary, we are adding a full plant. In the US, we just announced a $2 billion investment into our existing plant of Tuscaloosa, including capacity investments. And the same applies for China, where we are about $3 billion investment with a lot of capacity going in there.
But in terms of, for example, your profit margins, they do seem to be weaker compared to some of your competitors. Why is that?
Well, we set our strategic target at 10% for 2013. We reached that in the first half of this year, which is far ahead of our plan. If you have 1 or 2 quarters, the one competitor being a point up or down, this is not meaning anything. We are just in the phase of major product renewals, which typically has some impact on your margins, and we will be strong, and we are striving for the highest profitability of the three, and we have reason to believe that we will get there.
And how much focus do you want to have on compact cars? Is this going to give you really the edge compared to BMW and Audi, and how important is it to be one of the 2 first top spots?
Well, definitely there are 4 new vehicles we will launch into the compact car segment, will give us significant growth opportunity, and this is in absolute figures and compared to Audi and BMW. We clearly take on the race for volume between the 3 competitors, and if there's 1 year where our position changes negatively, that would not have major effect. Mid-term, long-term, we are sure that we will be in the hunt for the #1 position.
And how much focus do you want to put on the really high-end luxury brand, Maybach? Have you decided exactly what the future of this division will look like?
Well, first of all, when we talk about the high-end with Mercedes, we are defining that, and we are clearly stronger than our direct competitors with the S-classes and the derivatives of that vehicle. When it comes to Maybach, this is a small segment for our competitors as well. We will define the future of Maybach within this year for sure.
And so you will take a decision on what it will become, whether it be alliances or anything else, in the next 6 months?
What the outcome of this studies will be, we'll know when we come to a result. This will be within this year, and this will define the future of Maybach.
I also want to ask you, Mr. Zetsche, about, you guided towards very significantly higher EBIT for your earnings outlook. What exactly does that mean? Are we talking double-digit growth? If so, around the 10% mark, or can it be higher?
Well, obviously, at the beginning of the year, compared to the 7.3 billion of last year, we guided towards a significantly higher result. We are now talking about a very significantly higher result. We are not giving specific guidance in numbers, but clearly our first half is significantly beyond our original planning and expectation, and we expect the same to happen for the second half.
So definitely double digit.
Yes, that's certainly a good guess.
Sir, I also wanted to really talk to you about your currency exposure, because this is something that CEOs here in Europe really have to contend with, and it's something that is going to be possibly more difficult as volatility increases. Are you hedged? If you're hedged, at what kind of level?
Well, on our truck division, we have almost no exposure, a good balance between production and market demand. On the car side, we have a significant exposure. For this year, we are mostly hedged, so the impact of further changes in exchange rate would be minimal. But of course, you can't hedge for eternity. And midterm, long term, we have to look at a more balanced value addition versus demand as well.
And what kind of level are you actually hedged at? 140, 150?
Well below that, but typically we do not announce specifically our hedging rate because we consider that being a competitive element.
Yeah, I understand. One very last question on raw material costs. This is another, of course, headwind for companies such as yourselves. Again, is there any way that you can protect yourselves against these higher raw material costs in the future?
Well, there again, you can do some hedging, but that is only mitigating a transition and not changing the picture. What you can do as well is trying to reduce the use of raw materials. That's especially true for precious metals, for catalysts and so on. But in general, of course, you're living in this environment of demand, of supply, and of prices on both sides, and you cannot protect yourself. You can just make for an agile company which adjusts fast to changes in the environment, and that's exactly what we are doing and why we are successful.
Yeah, being flexible and adaptable. Mr. Zetsche, thank you so much for your time.